What's up YouTube, and welcome to the Anabolic Outpost. And when I first started this channel, I had two major focuses for how I'm going to make my recipes. One of those obviously being the macros, specifically the high protein that I have in most of my recipes, and the second thing is simplicity. Everyone out there has a busy life, and for most of us that go to the gym 5+ days a week, I'm sure most of the people that watch this have extremely busy lives, and that makes it even harder to plan your meals in your everyday life. I've already made a few different microwave creations on this channel before, but this takes it a big step further with only 5 total ingredients in this recipe. Not only that, but you could pre-mix the dry ingredients and make them in bulk, so whenever you need to make this brownie, if you want to make it throughout the week, it can be done in less than 5 minutes with no mess whatsoever. And with the addition of the crumbled Biscoff on top, I think it actually surpasses the other microwave brownie and cake recipes that I've had on my channel previously. So let me just quickly cover the 5 ingredients that you will need to make this recipe. First thing is going to be the protein powder. As always, I'm using PE Science, using the chocolate cupcake flavor for this recipe. Next ingredient is going to be fat-free milk, but you could also go with almond milk or any type of milk, whatever you like. Moving on, we have the powdered PB2 peanut butter that has cocoa in there, so essentially it is like chocolate peanut butter if you've never had it before, and this makes a great addition to the recipe. Baking powder, and last but not least, 1 individual package of the Biscoff cookies. We're going to start this out like most of my recipes by taking a microwave safe bowl and placing it on top of my scale, and then we're going to jump straight into it by adding in 30 grams of the chocolate cupcake protein powder. Next thing I'm going to add in there is the chocolate PB2. I believe that this ingredient is making its Anabolic Outpost debut, so let me just explain to you, if you've never had this before, this is a great spin-off of the normal powdered peanut butter that is always featured on this channel that I'm sure you're familiar with. They just add cocoa and mix it in there, so it sort of makes it like a chocolate peanut butter, and it's great for recipes like this. Moving on though to the final dry ingredient, surprisingly, of this recipe is going to be the baking powder, and I'm throwing in 2 grams of that. Speaking of measurements, it just slipped right over my head that I forgot to mention that you needed to add 24 grams of the chocolate PB2. There I was trying to hype it up so much as you were just sitting there waiting for me to tell you how much you had to add. That's alright though, you got it now, and we could proceed by mixing it together, the dry ingredients. You should have a light brownish color in that bowl looking something like this, and I would now say that it is time to add in the wet ingredients, but it really is time to add in the wet ingredient, which is just going to be milk, and I'm adding in 100 grams of the fat-free milk. You could shame this for almond milk all you like, it doesn't matter, I'm still going to use it. I am just as surprised as you are, but it is actually time to mix this together as we have added in all the ingredients, just 4 ingredients and 1 topping for this, and you could go ahead and proceed by mixing this, relieved by how much extra time you're going to have with your night, just because this cooking process was so simple for this brownie. I'm now done with mixing this up, and you can see exactly the texture that it's supposed to look like in there. Not incredibly thick, but like a decent microwave brownie, kind of like my brownies that I've had in the past. And it also makes it a lot easier before you put it in the microwave to scrape the sides like I just did right there with the whisk, so it's not all built up on the sides. Otherwise you're just going to have crusty brownie on the sides as it bakes in the microwave. And speaking of that microwave, I'm going to go ahead and slip it in there and cook it for a total of 60 seconds. In the meantime though, you could take your Biscoff cookie and hit it a few times with a hammer, or just crimple it with your hands, whatever you gotta do to break this Biscoff cookie up in a bunch of tiny little pieces. And there it is, that is what the Biscoff lava cake is looking like, fresh out of the microwave, with that perfect pocket of the batter uncooked in the middle. You got that moist lava cake action going on inside of there. If you did want a bit of a solid brownie though, you could put it at 90 seconds instead of the 60, and it'd be a little bit more solid. You're not really into the whole lava cake idea. Either way, whatever you do, the final step is to top this brownie off with that crushed up Biscoff, and you can just go ahead and sprinkle it around until it looks nice and aesthetic on the top, the Biscoff cookie. This is the final product, and I never go for presentation or aesthetics when making my food, but unintentionally, this is one of the most aesthetic recipes that I've made on my channel. Thing I would like to note as well is that I do know that there is some sort of Biscoff spread out there, and I have tried it in the past. However, I think it would be way too sweet for this recipe to add that on top as well. But if you're into super sweet recipes and you do like that Biscoff spread and you're a Biscoff lover in general, you might want to add that on top as well if you want to get the full effect for yourself. You can now go ahead and take a look at the macros for this recipe. Breaking it down with the protein, it's going to have 28 grams, 29 grams of carbs, only 5 grams of fat for a total of 275 calories. Extremely impressive for a dessert, and obviously it's not going to be filling, but its main purpose, like I said, is supposed to be for a dessert, so I typically eat this as the last thing that I eat before going to sleep. That exact reason is it'll give me protein that I could break down while I was asleep, but also not extremely filling that it will hinder my sleep. Less than 300 calories, this is far from a meal by any means. If you decide to make this recipe, be sure to take a picture and tag me on Instagram and I will repost it for you. Other than that though, if you found this recipe tutorial both enjoyable and delicious, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Consider supporting me on Patreon or buying something from my Amazon affiliate links linked in the description. Other than that though, I will see you in the next video.